Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Healthy Cooking with Shayda. This is where I teach you how to make healthy, delicious plant-based meals that are salt, oil, and sugar-free. Last week or a few weeks ago, I posted a recipe that I made and I had my aunts taste, and you guys all said you wanted the recipe. So here it is. That recipe is so good. It's my red lentil curry with sweet potatoes, and it's absolutely delicious, and it's super easy to make. So right now I've got the saute function going on in the Instant Pot, and what's going to go in here is your mirepoix. So what consists of mirepoix? Mirepoix consists of carrots, celery, and onions. Now again, you could chop this up all yourself and put it in here, or go with what I did, and I went to Trader Joe's and I bought it already all done. I just find that it's more time consuming and faster for me because I do have a full-time job, so this makes it easier. So I'm going to put that in here, and I love the fact that the saute function does, you can saute everything in here, and then you can cook your soup right in here and just use one pot to make it easier. And right now I don't have any water, I don't have anything in here, and as you all know, this is all oil free, so we're not going to put any oil in here or anything. Why? Because we don't need to. It can be all done. While that is doing its thing, and if you see that it starts to stick and it starts to get a little caramelized, just add a little bit of water and scrape the bottom, and it'll be completely fine. We're going to saute this for probably about 7 to 8 minutes until you see a little bit of caramelization on there, and then we'll go ahead and add everything else. In the meantime, we're going to take our garlic, and I want to mince the garlic, but what I have is this little Tupperware chopper that makes mincing the garlic so much easier than those handheld ones, because with those handheld ones, you get the extra garlic and you're going to have to throw it out. This way, none of it gets wasted and you can use it easily. Now, I'm going to put a link in the show notes for you guys on this little chopper in case you don't already have it and are considering in getting it. So sometimes it's a little kind of, there we go, we got the lid in there. Now look, all you do is you pull on this. It's a little exercise in the kitchen, and voila, it's all done, it's all minced, there's nothing left over, and you're good to go. Now I don't add the garlic and the ginger right at this time because I don't want it to burn. I will add it once everything is done inside the pot there, and everything has sauteed and caramelized. But look at that, it's all chopped up and it's all uniform, and absolutely nothing got wasted. So if you don't already have one, I can't recommend this highly enough. It is really good. So let's talk about some of the spices that's going to be going in here. We are going to be adding crushed red peppers. Now you can get this anywhere. I get it at the grocery store, or sometimes I buy it from Penzeys or Savory Spice. The curry that I'm using is this curry powder that I get from Frontier Co-op, and they are online, and I can put a link for you guys in the show notes for this. And it's with coriander, turmeric, and mustard seeds. It's absolutely delicious, and it's non-GMO, non-irrigated, so it's pretty clean. Then I also, from Frontier, I get their organic cumin seed that's ground. Now I do have the turmeric also that's going to go in here, and I forgot to pull the turmeric. BENSON'S Table Tasty for the salt substitute. Again, I'll put a link in the show notes for this. And I also add the black seeds to it to give it a little bit of a peppery taste, and it's really, again, I can also put a link for this in the show notes. So those are some of the spices that we are going to be adding in the soup. Now this is starting to caramelize on the bottom, so what I am going to do is add just a little bit of water. You hear that? So I could scrape off all that caramelization that's on the bottom of the pot. The idea is to soften the carrots and the celery and the onion, and to also get it to caramelize a little bit, to give it a little bit more flavor. So this has been caramelizing for about 7 to 8 minutes of sauteing. Now what I'm going to add to it is the minced ginger and the fresh garlic. So we're going to put that in here. And we're going to saute it in here for about 30 seconds, because again, I don't want it to stick to the pan and I don't want it to burn. And it looks like I may need just a little bit more water. I love that sizzling sound that it makes when the water goes in there. That's been about 30 seconds. Now what I have done is I've gone ahead and pre-measured all of my spices, and I've got them in here. And that saves me a lot of times when I do this ahead of time, is that I'll pre-measure all my spices, keep them in a jar, and then when the time that I'm going to be making something, it makes it easier to add it in here. So now I'm going to add my spices in here, because I want to saute it in there and get the aromatic flavors going. So we're going to saute this for about another 30 seconds with the spices. Well, your kitchen should be smelling really good right about now. At this point, you're going to turn off I'm going to add just a tad bit more. But we're going to turn off the saute function and start adding everything else that's going to go in here. So now we are going to go ahead and add our sweet potatoes. And you could probably put the sweet potatoes whole in there, but I like to chop it up because when I'm using the immersion blender, it just makes it easier to blend up the soup. And if you're using organic potatoes, you can use the skin, but I wasn't sure if these were organic or not, so I'm not going to use the skin on this one. The kind of sweet potato that I am using is the Hannah sweet potato, the white sweet potato. I haven't tried it with the yams or any of that. That may or may not work, but you can certainly give it a try. And we are adding the red lentil to it. Make sure you rinse it really well. Go ahead and add it in here. And we are going to use our vegetable broth. Now the kind of vegetable broth that I'm using is from Pacific. It's Pacific Foods Organic, and it's the low sodium. And the low sodium does not have oil in there. So you want to make sure that the broth that you're using, that it is oil free. Now the salt in here is low. It's 120 milligrams if you're okay with that. If you don't want to use the broth, I have made this with just water and it's absolutely delicious. So completely your choice. And I'm sure a lot of you are already making homemade broth anyway, so that's even better if you're using homemade. So go ahead and mix everything really well in here. Let's just make sure that I haven't forgotten anything. I don't think so. We are going to be adding mushrooms to this, but that doesn't happen till the very end. And I always, oh, the black cumin seeds, I forgot to add it. Let's see. Let's add that right now. You are going to need to grind, if you get the black cumin seed, you are going to need to grind a little grinder. So I'll put a link for it in the show notes, but any grinder will work. Let's mix this up. Now we're going to put the lid on. Okay, so we're going to make sure that the lid is locked and it's sealed off, and then we're going to set the timer for 10 minutes. And that's it. So at 10 minutes, this is going to go off. Now you have two options for this. You can let the pressure come down naturally and then use your immersion blender and blend this. Or you can go ahead, as soon as it's off, go ahead and release the pressure and then go ahead and blend it, because we're going to add the mushrooms at the very end. And we are not going to serve it right away because the mushrooms that I'm going to be adding are raw, and I want to give it some time to cook within the soup, so maybe an extra 30 minutes. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll be back as soon as it's ready to go. Okay, so our soup has been coming down, I think, for about 8 minutes now, so I am going to release the pressure, which apparently it's coming down. So as soon as the pressure has been released, and I'm going to open the lid very carefully because I don't want that hot air, you know, to get in my face. And then I'm going to use my immersion blender, and we're going to blend it up. And then I've got my mushrooms here that I've already chopped up, and I'm going to add it to this pot. So as soon as I'm able to open the lid, I'll come back and I'll show you how we're going to handle the rest of it. Okay guys, the pressure has come down. We're all ready to open the lid. Be very, very careful when you open the lid because there's a lot of steam. And because this is the 8-quart, it does take a little bit longer for it to come down. So now we are going to take our immersion blender and we are going to blend everything. You could leave it this way, but I like it all blended because it gets thick and rich and creamy, and it's just absolutely delicious. But that's how I prefer it. So okay, so this has blended up really, really well. Don't panic. This is a soup that is richer and it's thicker. So it is meant to be that way. It's not meant to be really watery. And at this point, we're going to add our mushrooms. Now this soup does have a little kick to it, so if you guys don't like a little spice, don't put in the crushed red peppers. But it does have a little kick to it. It's not bad at all. If I can tolerate it, anybody can tolerate it, because I don't do a lot of, you know, spicy food. So we're going to leave the mushrooms in here for a good 20 minutes, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you what the soups look like. All right guys, our soup is ready and I am so excited. Look how thick and rich this is. And it's absolutely delicious. So we are going to be enjoying this for lunch today. If you like curry, you're gonna like this soup. Now, what I like to do is to put some cilantro, because it just makes it taste so much better with a little bit of cilantro. Now, for the rest of the soup that's left over, my dear friend Tammy Kramer from Nutmeg Notebook, she got me these super cubes that are really, really good. This will fit, each one of these will be for 1 cup, and this is for the half a cup. And this is really good because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take the soup, whatever I have left over, and I'm going to fill this up, and then I'm going to put the cover on there, and then I'm going to put it in the freezer. Once it's frozen, then I can pop them out and put them in a Ziploc baggie, so that way every night if I want to go have soup, I can just take a block out and I can have it. So these super cubes are really, really handy to have, and they come in a set of 2, and she got me, I think it was the sprinkle something, but I just absolutely love these, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So I'm going to put a link to the super cubes for you guys to use. Now this one, like I said, it is smaller, but I use this for other things. You could put your lemon juice in here, your lime juice, you know, because that way you can take, you know, a slice of it out. There's so many things that you could do with these, and it's absolutely wonderful. And I can't thank her enough for getting me these. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you guys. But our soup is ready. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel, as we are trying to reach as many people as possible. And remember guys, it's 1 bite at a time, 1 meal at a time, and we'll see you at the next video. Thanks again for joining us.